I always remember when I was a kid hearing the saying from my parents, a bored person is a boring person, and always not resonating with it and not getting it. But I get it now. I've been walking for about an hour with my kid, the 18-month-old son. My phone is mounted to the pram here, so sorry about the low angle, but it resonates. Like when I was young, I guess I didn't have productive outlets for my time. Like I didn't have anything that I could work on, like in my downtime, that was positively contributing to my learning, my knowledge, and you know, I was wrapped up in video games and all that. Like a lot of you would probably resonate with that. Even still, like I still play video games, nowhere near as much, but I still love to play video games. But I remember just like being bored, and I remember I think mum, like the saying being like, a bored person is a boring person. And I was just like, what? Like not getting it. And it makes so much sense. Like now that I've begun my business and I've just got a big project that I'm working on, and I've been working on it for a long period of time now. Like the inception was in like November 2023, and now we're in the beginning of 2025. And I've been, you know, daily in my head working on this, physically working on it, not every day of course, but it's been something that I've kept up at and maintained over a long time now. And it's the thing that is kind of the default thing that my brain goes to now. And it's productive. And I know that me putting time into it now is going to contribute to me being successful, you know, and not like my boss or whatever. You know, like this is my own thing. And it's allowed me to, I used to, like after work, I had a whole heap of stress, a lot of stress around my job, like I would wake up and vomit in the morning. It was all bad, man. And like, I mean, it wasn't all bad, but mentally, it just wasn't for me. I was in a bad spot. And life's too short, man. It is. Life's too short. I remember having the like work from home, like cushy, comfortable job, you know, decently paid job, and like still like finish work, and I was like, I don't have mental effort to do shit. I'm going to lay in bed. And I'm like, dude, all I've done is sat in a chair all day. It's just like, you know, there's all mental issues stewed in there that make that shit happen. When you're in that bad mental space, it has physical symptoms. Like you just feel so exhausted. And like literally, I said I was waking up vomiting. Like I was like over 110 kilos, and I dropped down to like 90, so like over 20 kilos lost of just like, you know, yeah, just bad, man. Like I had to lose weight, but just bad. That's not the way to do it. But what this, sorry if you hear car noise as well. I'm just in my own head about that as well. But again, I'm just sort of on a walk here, and this is just what I'm thinking about, and it's nice to be able to, you know, release those thoughts. maybe someone will resonate. So, a bored person is a boring person. The reason why that has sort of come back up here now is now that I've started this business, I've started a project, I have a big long thing that I'm working on. It's the default thing that I'm thinking about when I am not occupied, when I'm not in physically being productive. You know, when my mind is at a default position, I will be problem solving and thinking through what I'm doing in the business and whether what I'm working on is the most efficient thing, the best thing that I should be working on, and designing new products and whatever. I have a creative, practical, positive outlet to dump all my thoughts now. Whereas before, I was I would finish work and then my mind would just be in a place of dreading work the next day, or like dreading like having to do chores or whatever I have to do, you know, life maintenance type shit. And mind you, I still don't like doing life maintenance shit. So we're beginning to outsource that. We're trying to get like cleaners and all sorts of shit, but that's expensive and got to focus on the business to be able to afford to do that stuff. So I can free my mind even more, but we're moving towards a place of just freeing the stuff that I have to think about. So having this thing that a default positive direction and thing that I'm working on has made such a big difference, because the default other than that is not productive typically, right? Like I would remember I would knock off work and I would just be like, again, like dreading like the next day, or like I would just be like tired. I would be like, I'm so exhausted, I can't do shit, and just I don't know. It's not that anymore. It's totally different. Like I'm not the dread now that I've left that the job that I was in, and it's, you know, it's hard to make that leap, of course. But now that I'm out of that and I'm at a spot where I'm working on my own thing, it's allowed me to, in that downtime, I'm productive and I'm thinking about things, and it's a totally creative, positive outlet, and that is huge, because the default isn't that. If you don't have a positive thing that your brain just goes towards, the default thing is kind of entropy, right? Like if you're not working towards something, you're working towards the opposite, which is, you know what I mean? Like it's the default. The world is naturally pushed towards entropy and chaos, right? Like chaos and disorder. Like if you have nothing that your mind is working towards, the default thing is not productive. Like I remember now, like whenever I'm walking around, I'm thinking about problem solving and stuff, as opposed to being wrapped up in shit that's not like just dumb shit, like shit. Oh, I said this stupid thing, and like they probably think that I'm an idiot, and like I you know, you just get wrapped up in your own thoughts, and you fucking, you know, you go down these little mental rabbit holes, and it's just like not a productive spot to be in. It's just, it's in your own head 90% of the time, right? Like you're you're coming up with these scenarios and situations in your own head that aren't in reality. Like you're making assumptions that are wrong, and you get in your own head, and these are the type of default sort of entropic thoughts that happen. And like that was me for years. Years. Don't mind my kid, he's part demon. But a bored person is a boring person, man. Like it's I feel like the system is designed for you to be like that, man. You know what I mean? I don't know. If you're bored, like, you've got to have some sort of creative outlet, some sort of hobby, some sort of fun thing, some sort of interest. And when you're in a negative rabbit hole, you're in the job you don't like or whatever, you wake up and the first thing that you think is dread. Like I remember waking up and truly the first thought that I would have is dread before I even open my eyes. And that is not a way to be. It really is not. Like, I don't need to argue that point. You probably understand that. Having a hobby, having something that you're working towards, you don't need to have, if you're like, I need to get out of this job, I need to have a business idea or whatever. You don't need to be there yet, okay? You don't need to be there yet. Small fucking steps, man. Like, figure out a hobby, figure out something that you can do in your spare time where you can get better at it, and it's developing skills, right? I'm not talking about something that is giving you a false sense of achievement. Like if you're, like I spent my whole childhood playing video games. If you get good at video games, you get that natural kick of like achieving things from beating levels in video games. So you build that sense of achievement in you, like in your brain. But it's not actualizing anything. You need to figure out a hobby where you're building skills that are actually can be beneficial to other people in the long term. You know what I mean? Maybe you're learning woodworking, maybe you're doing whatever. But the key point is it can't be something that's selfish. You know what I mean? It has to be selfish in that you enjoy it, but it has to be something that is developing skills that you can use. You know what I mean? And then you find that, because having that initial thought of like, oh, I just want to start a business, that's a big thought. And like, where the fuck do you begin? When you get down this hobby rabbit hole and you go real deep down a hobby and you really get to the nth degree and you're like, okay, then you start to figure out problems and you're like, oh, this is really annoying. This could be done like this. This could be done like that. Then products and business ideas can happen. Hey Oz, do you think we should wrap this one up? Maybe. Well, I don't know. Yeah, we'll wrap it up because my son's gone buck wild down there in the pram, and yeah, well, I don't know. This was a really spur of the moment video. I've just over the last couple of days, it's been resonating with me, the whole bored person is a boring person thing, and just because I've noticed that I haven't been bored anymore, like because I'm in my downtime, I can just be occupied with what I'm thinking about, and yeah, I don't know. have something that you're chipping away at. You know, whether it's just learning a fun hobby. You know, the world is like, we're at a weird point in humanity in the grand scheme of things, and it's kind of a cold, distant vibe. I can't really explain it, but it's weird. Hey, having a kid helps with that a lot. Have a good one, guys.